Would you like to invest your money in an apartment located just 40 kilometers from the Russian border, in a war zone, inside a typical Soviet-era block of flats? No? Well, congratulations, you're in your right mind. However, guys, today I want to show you anyway what the real estate market looks like here in Kharkiv, a frontline city in eastern Ukraine. I want to show you what you can actually buy here for 25,000–30,000 US dollars these days. And trust me, some of these places will surprise you. I am currently in a neighborhood called Saltovka. This is the largest residential district in Kharkiv and one of the largest in Ukraine. And it's filled with these typical Soviet panel blocks. We call them девятиэтажка, a 9-story building. And a third of Kharkiv used to live in these typical apartment blocks. And actually what you're seeing now is one of the best examples of how this Soviet architecture looks like in Kharkiv, because specifically this part of Saltovka is very clean and well maintained. I'll flip my camera, guys. Now you can see the area better, I guess. There are quite a few flats for sale in this kind of buildings in Kharkiv. The prices start from 17-ish K dollars for a 1-bedroom apartment. It's not gonna be an apartment in a really good condition, so it will most likely require some renovation. But before I actually show you guys what the flats inside these panel blocks look like, let me give you a quick idea of the real estate situation in Ukraine in general. So friends, where did we Ukrainians want to live and buy property before the war began? It used to be all about the big Ukrainian cities like Kharkiv, Dnipro, Odessa, Kiev, so million-plus cities, because a big city used to offer better jobs, better infrastructure, and generally better life for a lot of people. But now it's all about safety. A lot of people moved west, and that's where most of the demand for apartments, for buying apartments, for renting apartments went. Western Ukraine is way safer and more expensive now than the east, which is pretty logical. So what about Kharkiv, a frontline city? We are maybe just 30 kilometers from the active front line. The prices did go down, and it makes sense, right? But the price drop isn't that significant. I'm not a real estate expert, but I remember the pre-war prices very well. And now I'm seeing the prices as well, so I would say that the drop price is around 30%. And I didn't want to just give you my opinion, guys, so I also looked up for some official statistics. There is a website called myglobalpropertyguide.com, and they have apartment prices by region, so they analyze the real estate market in Ukraine. A bunch of different metrics, but I don't want to overload you with data, so I'll give you prices for 1-bedroom flats in different Ukrainian cities in the US dollars, and we're talking now about the secondary market. So flats in buildings like these девятиэтажкас, and they are roughly like 40–50 years old. And 1-bedroom apartment in the city of Lviv, very close to the Polish border, is 65K. The city of Uzhgorod, 64K. Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine, 63K. The city of Odessa, 39K. Dnipro in eastern Ukraine is 33K. And Kharkiv is only 21,000 US dollars for a one-bedroom apartment. Just to briefly sum up, so for one-bedroom apartments, highest increase Uzhgorod, and largest decrease Kharkiv. In Kharkiv, prices dropped by 10%. And looking at these panel blocks from the outside, what do you think, guys, about the flats inside? I bet that you imagine some full-on babushka style with carpets on the walls, with some outdated furniture and something pretty poor. But the surprising thing is that once you step in, you can actually find very modern apartments. They are all different. It really depends on the owner. It can be with very nice modern design and all the comfort you need. So let's go and check out the first apartment. It was bought in 2019 for 35 US dollars. Let's go. Welcome, guys, to a regular Kharkiv residence crib. It's pretty late already, so I turn on all the light here. This is a classic three-room apartment with its Soviet layout. You will find this kind of apartments all over post-Soviet world. There is even a joke that you can be in a different city in a similar flat and you might be confused that it's your flat because they all look very similar. I like the design of this flat. Nobody lives here now, so there are a lot of boxes. You might be wondering if what I am showing you is my flat. Unfortunately not, because I have a lot of friends who now are abroad, and because I'm the one who stayed in Kharkiv, I look after a bunch of flats. It's a standard flat, as I mentioned, and the total size is 65 square meters, which is around 700 square feet. And let me show you the kitchen. The kitchen is usually very small, but as you can see, guys, the apartment is modern, so everything here is pretty new. It was bought for 35,000 US dollars, but it came with no renovation. So people invested around 15,000 US dollars to renovate everything. So they upgraded the floors, electric wiring, all these windows are new. They replaced the doors, they replaced all the appliances. So this flat was renovated basically like from scratch. I would say that 35K is the price for this flat. If you list this flat at 35K, the buyer will appear pretty quickly. This is what I'm thinking about. So let me know, guys, in the comments below. Would you buy this flat in beautiful Saltovka district for $35,000? And I'm saying bye for now. Until tomorrow, I want to show you another flat and maybe some different kind of real estate in downtown area. But tomorrow, because as you can see, it's pretty late. So until tomorrow, guys. Good afternoon, friends. We are back in Saltovka, Kharkiv's largest residential neighborhood, which actually hosted 400,000 people before the war. That's quite a number, isn't it? But now it's a little bit underpopulated and there are a lot of empty flats in these panel blocks. The northern sector of the neighborhood was bombed in 2022, and we're somewhere on the border between so-called normal Saltovka and that damaged part. But now even the bombed part is undergoing reconstruction, so things are improving a little bit, and we will definitely go and check out how northern Saltovka looks like today in upcoming videos, so stay tuned. But for now, we're heading to see another two-room apartment, again in a 9-этажка. And that's my friend's flat. She bought it 10 years ago for 45K. Yeah, it was more expensive than the previous flat because she got it with renovation already. And she's actually thinking about selling it. She's still undecided because her mother might return from abroad and live there, but for now it's just empty. And by the end of this video, you'll be a real expert on how Soviet 9-этажkas flats look like. This part of the building is called подъезд. We call the entrance and the staircases подъезд. And usually in подъезд you have some mailboxes. And here people even have a mailbox from our postal service called Nova Poshta. So if you order something from our marketplace, Rosetka, you can actually grab your delivery right inside your подъезд. But not all buildings have this kind of services, but this building has. So, and let's take a ride on classic Soviet lift. Okay. This is how a staircase looks like in a typical Soviet time 9-этажка. People can have very different doors, and usually there are 4 apartments in one story. It was inherited from the Soviet times. We usually paint our walls like this in подъезд. I live in a similar building, so this is very, very familiar for me. I was raised in this kind of building. And again, you might think that the flat is ugly and Soviet, but let's see how this one looks. Welcome to a standard 2-room flat. Now, here is a fun fact. In Ukraine, we count all the rooms when we talk about apartments. So this one has a bedroom. Here is a bedroom. And also, it has a living room, which makes it a 2-room apartment for us. Calling it a one-bedroom apartment would totally confuse everyone here. We just don't say that. Let's finally water these poor cactuses. Oh yes, it's no longer a desert. Really cool fact about this specific flat is that it is pet friendly. I'll show you guys. My friend got this bathroom renovated and they built this little spot specifically for dogs. So you can wash your dog's paws after walks in this little spot. How cute is that? I've never seen anything similar. So this is for humans and this is for pets. As I mentioned previously, my friend is thinking about selling this flat, but she's hoping to sell it for the same price she bought it. So for 40K, and she keeps in mind that fact that she renovated the bathroom. But again, I'm not a real estate expert, but I think it's impossible to sell it now for 40K. I would say the price for this flat now is 30K top, maybe even 27K. This is again my thoughts about it. Back in the 1970s and 80s, Kharkiv needed quickly accommodate thousands of people moving here for work in factories and universities. And this kind of 9-story buildings were a standard solution. They were cheap, quick to build, and each could house dozens of families. That's why you see hundreds of them throughout this neighborhood. Watching a video like this might make it seem all of Kharkiv is just this kind of buildings, but of course it's not. I've been meaning to take you guys downtown and show the variety of different housing and prices, but to be honest, downtown is a story of its own, so instead I'll show you a few of different types of housing here, some new buildings, and of course I'll share the prices. Let me zoom up a little bit. Okay, so can you see? This is a new residential complex. It has a very loud name, Royal Residence. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only 5 stories buildings. And it's also Saltovka and the same micro district that we're exploring, but a very different type of housing. As you can see, the territory looks very nice and the entrance is very modern and it says, "Welcome home." Wow, but the most hilarious part is that there is this Soviet Zaporozhets. Oh my gosh, I haven't seen this car in a while. That's absolutely hilarious. But I like how this complex looks like, and it's obvious that because of the blast wave or maybe even some shrapnels damaged the facade, because I can see some damaged windows and I can see some cheap boards. Здрасте. So I just asked a resident of this complex, he said that now a 2-bedroom apartment is $60,000 here. So people are selling apartments and you can buy it for 60K. If you're someone paying off a huge mortgage in your home country, or your rent is ridiculously high, maybe you want to consider coming here in Saltovka when the war is over. I'm gonna encourage people coming here because our neighborhood is underpopulated. We really need some nice and new neighbors here. There are plenty of flats available for sale and the prices are reasonable. Seriously though, guys, it's time to call it a night. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm gonna spend the rest of this year in Kharkiv vlogging from the second largest city in Ukraine. So until next time, bye! Because housing prices, guys, are very reasonable here. In Kharkiv, you don't need to work hard. You can just sell some random stuff and sleep. And that's it. Very easy.